Cello, I'm Kathy with a K with Hawaii POV, a talk story series, Radio Music Hawaii. And it's March 2018, and I wanted to talk story with a longtime friend, DJ Nocturna.
Thank you, Kathy.
Oh, no, thank you.
No, thank you.
We're here on the
Yeah.
Aloha Saturday on the University of Hawaii at Manoa campus because she's got a show Saturday evenings. What is it called?
A Feast of Friends.
Feast of Friends. And
in
how long
about-
have you been hosting that?
About 15 years. Yeah. Can you
Okay.
believe it? I had to think about that. I really
Like
did.
doing the math.
I had to actually go back in time and try to figure out when exactly the date was, you know. I keep forgetting, honestly.
Because it's continuous. You've just been doing it.
I know, like all the way, like every Saturday from 6 to 9 for like the past 15 years. So I would take off sometimes, like if I have to go to a party or a special event on a trip, but I always do the show religiously.
Where you're originally from.
Okay, originally I'm from Guam, and that's actually where I started radio.
Was it college or just?
No, it was for public radio. It's called KPRG 89.3, and that's why I remember. I have to like think back. Okay, so I started radio. It was 1997, I believe, all the way to 2001, and then that's when I came back. And I came back to Hawaii. My show in KPRG was from 11 to 1, and then on 9/11, I thought the pilot like had a heart attack,
Right.
and he was flying too low. I go, who would fly too low? They must have had a heart attack, right? Yeah, and then that's when I turned on the. I was probably one of the first few people to actually, because everybody else was either sleeping, because in all parts of the world, the people like in Hawaii, I think people were sleeping.
Because when you're talking about your the time you're on the air, it's like in the overnight.
Yeah, it was
hours,
like 1 o'clock. I think it was like 1 o'clock, 9 o'clock. I'm sorry, 9 o'clock in the morning. I believe it was that time. And I was just headed out to my other job at that time. I was working for a senator, so I was on. We were having like legislative session, so I was on my way there, and then that's when I heard the other airplane crash into the tower. Remember that? So it wasn't 2001 that I came to KTUH. It was like it was 2003.
So were you born and raised on Guam? When did you move to Honolulu?
In 1987.
And what was
Yeah.
the reason for that?
UH. So I actually got my bachelor's here, and then I moved back to Guam for a little bit to work, and then that's when I came on in the radio. So I guess it all like happened for a reason, right? Yeah, and then back to Hawaii. And this is where I'm at right now.
Feast of Friends, for those who are not familiar with the theme of the music, what are the kind of artists that you feature on
It's like it's post-punk mostly. I would say goth, industrial, 80s, but I would say post-punk is mostly the genre. So it'd be like, Joy Division, The Cure, Sisters of Mercy, Susie and the Banshees, Nick Cave. Yeah.
Is it just those
4AD.
artists that kind of are godfathers and godmothers of the genre, or do you play modern artists that reflect
I play
that?
modern as well. I play a lot of trip hop and Portishead and a lot of the 80s as well, like Eurythmics, Thompson Twins, that kind of stuff, and also the industrial bands that the goth kids like right now, Wamscott, those kind of bands,
With KTUH, I understand that you need to have at least one course or class to be featured on air, to have a regular shift. How have you been able to maintain it?
I'm not a student, community member.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Yes, but I was a student when I first started. I was getting my master's at the time. So it must have been like 2003.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you were on air, do you remember the first air shift and the music? Because each block is a theme.
So everybody that first becomes a DJ at KTUH needs to do 3 a.m. slot, 3 a.m. to 6 o'clock. Luckily, I was able to do Sunday morning. So I was dead tired because I have a regular job.
Yeah, everybody does.
Yeah, well, some of these guys are students, right? They don't really, they're okay with that. But I wasn't okay. After 6 months, I said, I've been literally like I was trying to stay up at 6 o'clock, driving home. So I used to live in IA at the time, and I would be driving home, and I'll be kind of dozing off. And then one morning, I saw this car like crash into a tree as I was going home, and I said, "Oh my God!"
That's a sign.
My general manager at the time, my PD actually, my program director, Miss Malia Lyons at the time, I said, "I can't do this anymore. I gotta apply for another time slot, or else I'm gonna have to quit because I can't do it." I believe I applied for a Wednesday 9 to midnight because that was better than nothing. Because I had to pick a time slot in the evenings because I have a regular day jobs. And then she said, "Oh, we gave it to somebody else. I'm sorry. Okay, let me apply for another one." So I did it another month, 3 to 6 in the morning, And then I applied for another one, which was Sunday. I can't really remember anymore. It's like 6 to 9 p.m. They gave it to somebody else, and I go, okay, this is my last one. And then she goes, hey, there's a Saturday night opening up from 6 to 9. So it was actually a blessing in disguise because it really works for me Saturdays, better than the other days because then I would have to get up early in the morning, go to work. Yeah, so.
You spin music in clubs. Did Nocturna, the name, precede? Which came first, the radio or spinning music?
The radio.
Always Nocturna? Did you know
Always
that?
Nocturna, yeah.
How did you get that name? That's a great name,
Yeah. Well, I've always been a night person. And then one of my friends, he was a DJ, Devin, a long time ago. He goes, you're so nighttime kind of thing, So I got the name Nocturna. We talk about the night, and so we go Nocturne. And then I go Nocturne. I don't know about Nocturne. I sound like a musical or a play or something like that. No, how about Nocturna? I go, yeah, Nocturna sounds good, yeah. Then A Feast of Friends, I got it from Jim Morrison's, album, song. And that came from, my brother and I discussed that. So, because he loves the Doors, so I go, that's how we go.
Has he ever been a guest with you on
my brother?
show?
Oh, yeah, totally. Yeah, he plays like, he's younger than me and he likes those cool stuff too. Not too obscure, but he likes like rock and roll, stuff like that. Yeah, they always say you outgrow being goth, and you really don't. You really stay. You stay in black. I mean, I've been wearing this forever, black.
Yeah.
I mean, I may wear a little bit of print, like flowers on it, but it has to have a little bit of tint of black.
How did you discover the music?
I love all kinds of music. I love anything from disco to soul, soul funk, classic R&B. I really do. But I always seem to like the darker side of all of those genres. So there is a dark side to R&B. It's always sad. I always like the sad. So pretty much like the duende. That creative inspiration, that longing, the saudade. So that's basically the theme of the show. So it's a darkness of some kind.
Well, since then, you've also done promotions for beauty pageants. The first one was in 2010, the Miss Vamp. Is that right?
Yep. So it started out in 2010 by myself and Lana Sardinia. And we're not really doing it anymore we kind of took a little break from it. Yeah, so we've been running on this like fifth or 6 years. Yeah.
And there was also a companion piece of sorts, the Count Dracula.
Yeah, we did that too. Yeah, so Count Dracula, that's really hard to run. Not many guys would want to really be doing Count Dracula because there's more vampire women than men. The people that love those kind of things really love it. And I wish they had more people that kind of enjoy that kind of stuff. But maybe I'm in the wrong place. I think if I was in London or New York or somewhere, it probably would have been, or maybe in Germany or something, it would have been a better.
I think that's why you're here, and it calls you and compels you to do it because there is a need for it, a hunger for it. Dare I say, the movie. You help it, give it life every so often, just to remind people that it's not a phase or a fad, like so many other things that have come up through the years that I've been alive anyway. I remember when rap music was supposed to be a phase, and like vinyl was never gonna exist anymore and that kind of thing.
Oh yeah. Well, there's always people that love that stuff. There's vampire movies all over the place. It just never grows old. For
Nocturna Presents, is it DJ Nocturna Presents when you have shows that you've presented?
Oh, yeah. So I've had like David J, who came there recently. He's the bass player for Bauhaus and Love and Rockets. And then Martin from Attrition is this band that came out of the 80s, in London. So many others, I try to... And then I have Masumi Max, who is a fetish model. It's really hard to do these things. I don't like to do it too often. Been so busy, that too. So it takes a lot of your time.
What keeps you doing radio? Was it more that did you have like a message that you wanted to share with your Feast of Friends? Or was it, there's so much music, I just want everybody to be exposed to it?
I just love music. I really do. I listen to music every single time. When I'm in the car, the first thing I turn on is my music. When I'm at home, I have my music on. Before I go to bed, I have my music on. When I go somewhere, I have to buy some music. I have to go buy vinyl. So I just like sharing it, and I like helping out the arts. That's one of the things I do on the show is I try to bring down a person that can talk about something that's intriguing, or promoting a certain type of event or musical shows or things like that. If it goes with the show, even if it doesn't, even if there's a hip hop artist that I'm kind of interested, I would bring him on. It doesn't have to be the genre of the music, but I tend to focus on something that would interest me and my listeners. So, for example, something to do with the moon and the stars, or something to do with what do you call that, Mercury in retrograde, or something like that I always have on the show. I have Alice and Noy that comes on the show sometimes, you know, belly dancers that come to town, or artists like musicians that are here. James MacArthur, Dano, yeah, he was on the show, the original. He wrote a play, and they were at Diamond Head Theater, and he was here with some crew, and then I interviewed him. Yeah, I still have that interview too. It was a good interview. Really, I was such an honor to have him on the show. Yeah, you know, every 3 to 6 on Saturdays is an alumni show.
I've been in the studio maybe 4 or 5 times. Rows of vinyl and CDs. And
yeah, our vinyl just grows. We don't have no place for it. It's so stuck in there. Yeah, we really need a bigger space, to be honest. We need like a bigger vinyl vault so that we could get more, because people still give vinyl, even though those were like from the 70s. A lot of people donate, and we have CDs like forever. New bands give us music. May not be good or not, you know, but whatever, they just give us everything.
I think that's the same everywhere.
That's why we always have these fundraisers to raise money, because everything breaks, you know. Our mics break, you know, wear and tear, 24/7, you know.
Well, how often are the K2H fundraisers?
Every year, April, March, something like that. That's why I gotta thank our listeners, because if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be on the air. I wouldn't have a Feast of Friends. I wouldn't be able to do this. I mean, there are people that, you know, there's listeners that listen for even like 30 minutes. You know, they always say the listeners who are really dedicated listeners only listen for like 30 minutes. And the ones who are, if they listen more than that, then they're kind of stalking you. No. I'm just joking about the stalking part. There are people that listen, even for a short period of time, and then they go back on listening again, and then they call in or whatever, you know, and that's good. I mean, I'm really, really very grateful for the listeners of K2. Yeah, there was a time that I was on the air, and then I guess I was playing something. I don't know what, I don't really remember. This was a few years ago, and then I got this call saying, "Oh, I have a painting for you." I go, "What?" "I have a painting. I'm going to bring it over." And I go, and then they hung up, and I'm like, okay. And I was talking about being a grave digger. I said I love being a grave digger on the air, right? Then he calls me again. He says, "I just left a painting in front of the door outside." Oh my God! And then I'm like, what the heck? So I looked out the door, and I didn't see it. So I'm thinking, maybe he means the other door. So it's the backside of K2H. And sure enough, there was a painting there of a grave digger. I'm serious, on oil. And then he has all these, it wasn't bad. It was very different. He did it in a very creative, I still have the painting, in fact. I have it. I'm thinking maybe he's a painter, an artist in one of the art department. I mean, I don't know. I've never heard from him after that. Or maybe I have, but I really don't know. I'm like, okay. And I would get packages here and there, you know, like of Christmas and stuff like that. Yeah. I mean, there are faithful listeners, but there's also the ones that listen to every show, and they will call all the time. These other DJs get phone numbers out, so they will call in. I don't really take a lot of requests. It's really hard to play what people want to hear, because they may not flow with the show. Yeah. But if they call in and say, "I want to hear Sisters of Mercy," I go, "Yeah, I'll get that in," because it matches the flow. But if somebody calls in and says, "Can you play Daryl Hall and John Oakes?" I'm going to say,
There's another number you could try calling that might be able to...
Maybe Maneater, because it's a little bit on the darker side, but I still wouldn't play that.
That's so fun. How did you discover the radio station?
I was a DJ after. So when I was getting I was going for my master's. That's when I became a DJ. So, you know, back in those days, I think it was like 300 watts or something like that. Now it's not even, I mean, we're heard everywhere now, just about.
Maybe you sat in with somebody else?
No, I think I like radio. After I did that, it was kind of like an opening, it opened the door for me, because I enjoyed it so much, you know, because I was able to play my own music. So I said, "Oh, there's a radio station at K2. I should go apply." So I went to I filled out a form, and then they said, "Oh, okay." And then I think they took like 3 weeks, and they called me.
When you're not hosting your Feast of Friends, who sits in for you?
I have like somebody who does it. Somebody I would choose. You know, and I like to have my own DJ that knows the music a little bit. They don't have to play exactly what I play, but they can play whatever dark stuff they want. But you know,
So it's
Yeah.
always live. There's no recorded
Oh,
programming?
no. KTUH is always a person there. There's always like 24/7. Every 3 hours there's a DJ, no matter what. You know?
Have you ever thought about doing commercial radio, or did you know that the format you had to adhere to what
I would
it
love to
was?
do commercial radio. I would like it. I wish there would be a time when commercial radio would allow like a DJ to sit in and do a 2 hour show of the music they want to play, because I think there's a place for that. I think KTUH has a lot of audience, and the people, I think there's people that don't even know about it, and it's waiting to be discovered. And there's a certain type of listeners at KTUH. You know, even the jazz music we play is not the typical jazz, and all the blues, and of course the house music and the R&B. But I think there's a place for that. It's just, I wish there was a commercial radio station that would allow that. I don't know if it's even possible.
Yeah, but KTUH, the wattage and the frequency.
It's online,
Yeah.
and it's so easy because we just changed our website, so easy to just press the button and you could be heard all over the world, you know. And we get
What
listeners.
is the URL, the website?
KTUH.org. And there's people that listen like all the way from all over the world, like England. I get people calling in from Europe listening, you know, that's the way to reach out. And then they go, and we're like probably one of the only few radio stations that still allow this kind of format. You know, other college radio stations don't even do this anymore. I mean, we have underwriting, which is different, but allowing us to play the music that we want to play. And there's always somebody somebody's always there. It's never like recording. Yeah, preserving that history. You know, post-punk. You know, one of these days I do want to make what's called a symposium, a post-punk symposium.
Okay.
And I want to do that one of these days. Okay. I have a regular job, and sometimes I would go to these seminars. So you want to call them seminars. So there's always these people in the medical field and in the legal field. They come and talk about a certain topic, you know, of specialty like intellectual property or something like that. And all these people, if they have an interest on it, they'll be listening, and they'll be like in some ballroom in a hotel, and people will be having their dinner or eating and then listening to that. And I always wondered, like, how come we don't have this literary stuff, you know, like literary, something, you know, like Beowulf, for example, you know, something to do with, or, you know, Canterbury Tales, something to do with that
That
topic.
doesn't necessarily college, university related, that's just kind of open to the public?
Yeah, you know, where people
Okay.
can go and eat, you know, have dinner, and then there are all these people that's into that kind of type of literature would be there.
Oh, you
And then-
want like a modern day Algonquin kind of
Yeah,
situation?
where people come dressed up in that attire if they wanted
Yeah.
to, and they probably will because they like that topic.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's something to do with like Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, you know, talk about the theory behind a certain topic of the book, right?
I've gone to the Comic Cons,
Yeah,
the
see, something
conventions
like that, yeah.
here, and they
Uh-huh.
have the different panels and
Yeah,
speakers.
in that topic. See, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of people that love that thing, and they would go and they would like to. So I thought, well, let's do something that I like, which is the topic of post-punk, that period in time.
So this is a call to arms for people who are fascinated or have opinions and connections to do that. I think that'd be great.
Yeah, so I did talk to David J about this already. So he would be one of the people in the symposium, and he would be talking about the rise and fall of Bauhaus.
Oh yeah.
And he has a book out actually on that.
And it's like it's the group, and
the
that's,
Bauhaus, Bauhaus. is
because
the
I
group
actually
from
saw the Bauhaus exhibit in Chicago.
Oh yeah, the architecture. yeah. So this is Bauhaus, the band, the post-punk band, the goth band. Yeah. So I
Tones
did.
on Tail. Yeah, Love and Rockets, all that connect the dots kind of thing.
And then I would like Nick Cave to actually talk about some stuff. Some of these singers, performers, actually are very well versed in a topic of something that would appeal to their music. Like Nick Cave did have a spoken words, and he talks about the duende and how music is all music have duende. You know, they're sad, they're gloomy, you know, that kind of thing. So yeah, I was thinking about doing that. I don't know where or when.
Oh, you could have a post-punk con. What would you call it? Nocturna Con?
No.
Oh, why not?
Not
Do
Nocturna
it.
Con. I like the genre of post-punk.
Well, give us some artists, and maybe some, just to kind of.
Well,
get that.
okay, I'm going to manifest it.
Yeah.
So, of course, David J., that's already a given. And then there's, there's some musicians that love to talk. Not everybody is a talker, they don't like to present. This would be, they would go up in the front and they would talk to the audience or to the people, like conjugating and eating or something like that. Yeah, so, and then I would like Nick Cave, of course. That's That's something I would really like. And then Johnny
Yeah.
Lydon, you know, because he's like PIL, Public Image Limited, you know, part of that post-punk, beginning of post-punk, ending of punk, you know, with the Sex Pistols, and then, you know, so somebody like him. I don't know if he's a talker too, but
I don't think you could stop him.
yeah, he'll probably go on. It would be somebody, you know, in that genre, you know, in that particular, maybe like, but there's so many of them.
I think that's great.
Yeah, I mean, you know, post-punk, I was, you know, since it began in London, in England, so like I'll probably get the Manchester bands, you know, because that's really, probably the birthplace of, I would say, you know, most of the post-punk bands. So I would get like, you know, the guys in the Joy Division, you know, you know, of course Ian is dead, but the New Order, the Smiths.
Yeah. Did you get a chance to chat up Peter Hook when he was in town?
I did. Yeah, I interviewed him, but I never asked him about that yet. I mean, this was like that was way before I even had this idea.
Yeah.
He would actually be one of the people that I know he likes to talk a lot. You can't stop him. That's for sure. I know that. You can't stop Peter Hook.
You'd have these different rooms, and you just like let them go, and they would just chat it up. They've got a lot of life experience and stories.
Oh yeah, they have a lot. I mean, we can talk about the whole Manchester scene. You know, the coming, you know, the clubs and the record label. You know, the New Order and how all that stuff, and he has a book too on that thing. So that's I would love Alison Moyet to actually talk. Boy George will really talk, and he's really from that. He's actually from the New Romantics. That'll be a great topic too, because it's all in that time period too. You know, guys, there's so many. I'm really excited about that.
I'm looking forward to when you do it. What are your social handles and your website for?
So djnocturna.com, and then I also have a WordPress, djnocturna.wordpress.com, and then social media. There's Instagram and Facebook, but you know, I don't know where I'm gonna. It might not even be here, to be honest, because I don't know if there's really it'd be so hard to bring people down here. It's so expensive. Yeah. It might actually be like somewhere in the mainland, somewhere in the middle ground where everybody can actually go there.
Like Boise.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe like I don't know where really. That's just a thought. Yeah, the concept is coming. You know, as we're talking now, I'm actually getting more excited about it. Yeah. Thank you.
No, it's great because if you're excited about it, there's at least one other person, and it's just a matter of the dominoes kind of falling forward. Just like your KTUH show, Feast of Friends, somebody will hear it and be like, either I remember this artist or like this is so new to me. So that's why it's important to continue to do it. How long do you see yourself, or do you want to be hosting your show on KTUH?
You know, every year I always say this is my last year.
Welcome to the club.
But you know, there's a part of me that don't really want to go because I love it so much, and you know, I just love it. I'm always excited to come here. There's never a time I don't. You know, you know, sometimes I'm too tired. I'll go, oh, I'm really tired, but I love to play music. Yeah. Sometimes I don't need to talk. You just want to play music. You know, you don't talk too often. Sometimes it's not good to talk too much. You know, people want to hear music.
Yeah.
Or sometimes the interviews are long, but then I would cut after the interview is done, the music just plays on, you know.